son. Where'd you find this?
Don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any of the narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who acts like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico. They never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I hide, my ancestors speak. They tell me the tide isn't front on us like we're weak. I haven't been getting sleep, longing to sing until I surpass peak. Until they think we are equal, please. All I want is peace. My ancestors beat drums until their bones would bleed, begging the generations remember our.
Peace and blessings to the good people. What's the word? How's everyone feeling today? I hope all is well. Friday right around the corner. It's just a privilege to still be here to see another one. Shout outs to my poets, writers, content creators, all that good stuff. You see the title. We gotta talk about it. I got Sydney in the building. I have a clip that I want to play for y'all. Question: how do you feel about children's toys in 2026? Are they appropriate? Have they gone too far? That's what this conversation is about. Let me bring her up on the big screen and we're going to get this show started. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know we on. Good morning, let me see something. What's the word?
Not too much. Easy morning. I woke up to the smell of burning trash for whatever reason. Who knows what's going on in the city right now, but we're kind of on a hill, one of the highest points in the San Diego area. So whenever there's something in the air, we always wafts into our neighborhood. It can be kind of cool during low tides. You can smell the ocean, even though we're like 20 minutes away. But yeah, this morning I was like, is something on fire? And then I realized it was outside and not in my house. So at least I'm cool in that area. But Yeah. Candles.
Okay. Well, look, this woman here, she expressed herself on Twitter. This was a few weeks ago. I'm just now getting around to bringing this up here, but it's a conversation that should be had. I'm gonna let her get her bars off. You be the judge. You tell me how you feel about this type of toy being in circulation. Let's bring this up here real quick.
Yeah, so tell me how I'm in Burlington, right? And my son comes to me with a toy.
What's that for?
Look at the toy.
Billy.
Now you think it's all cute or whatever until you see this. Look at that. Why? Look. Why in the hell would a boy want a toy with a boy shaking his butt? This is ridiculous. It's not funny. This is ridiculous. This is what's wrong with the world, y'all. This is what's wrong with the world. Horrible. Ridiculous. Yeah, so tell me how.
All right, so clearly she's not happy with it. And if you've noticed over the last few years, they've been changing the content. They've been changing the cartoons. They've been changing what you can see on social media, even down to like your apps. They're not as kid friendly as they used to be. Your initial thoughts on this clip and just in general. Shout outs to Noah, by the way. I appreciate you for pulling up.
Yeah, this is something, one of my gripes. Honestly, even since like I remember the transition even when I was like 8th grade, early high school. I would in my I was in advanced English, and my teacher would have us do like media analysis where we'd have to look at a commercial, we'd have to look at a movie, we'd have to look at forms of media, and she'd pick the topics, but we'd have to write on those topics using the clips that she gave us. And I remember at least 2 times we had to do one on the sexual nature of content. And the one I remember is we did Love the Way You Lie by Rihanna. And we had to say if it was like glorifying violence and stuff like that. So I remember doing this type of work on this type of stuff, even like a decade and a half ago, but it has still continued to get progressively worse. Like that does not surprise me in the slightest. I think I sent this to you a couple weeks ago. When I watched a whole overview that somebody did of the SpongeBob movie, and then they tied the new SpongeBob movie, and then they tied in a bunch of other like modern cartoons. And I specifically remember one of the comments that they kept making was, why are TV shows so obsessed with butts? Like in kids' TV shows, the characters are always like butt jokes, fart jokes, like, which I guess you can kind of understand for little boys, but it's like sexualized jokes. And it's stuff that as an adult, you watch it and you're like, whoa, I cannot believe that you just said that on a kid's show. Like, I get that they don't understand it, that they have to cater to the parents because the parents also have to be there, and the parents aren't going to want to sit through an hour and a half of like stupid kid jokes. But there are some kids that will get that. There are some kids with older brothers, older sisters that will explain those jokes to them, or their friends will look it up. Kids know how to use the internet these days. I mean, we already see a problem with kids and iPads and having unfettered access to the internet in all of its forms. So the expectation that it's only going to be parents that get that is wrong. Like the kids are going to figure out what that means. They might not understand deeply what it means yet, but they'll at least understand that it's an inappropriate thing. And I wish I could say that I'm shocked to see a toy like that. Like if this was 2010 or 2015, I'd be like, wow, that's crazy. But in this day and age, I'm not surprised at all with all the gimmicky stuff that they create. I have seen slimes shaped like butts that the kids could just like grab and play with. I've seen them shaped like female chest appendages. I've seen like you name it, I've seen it. I've seen like gummy worms that were shaped like male appendages. So I'm not surprised that this stuff exists, but as a parent, I would still be like, don't put that back. Don't look at that. I'm not even going to talk about this toy. We're not coming back to the store again. I could see that as a gimmicky gift to give to an adult, but the fact that it's catered towards a kid's show is still wild to me. Like, what were you thinking? You really expected parents to be like, oh yeah, this is a great toy for my kid. Even teenagers, that's inappropriate because you're still encouraging tactless behavior, to say the least. So yeah, I'm right there with that mom. Like, what is wrong with you people? Why do you keep marketing stuff like this to kids? I know that S sells and we all know that, but can you leave kids out of it? Like, seriously, adults spend enough money. Like, we don't need it also given to our kids.
This is nothing like what I grew up on. Like Power Rangers, when they had those shows, they dealt with bullying. They had proms. They had little innocent things in there with having crushes and stuff like that. It was never no grown teenager male in the middle of the dance floor twerking for an audience. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They fought crime. Their obsession was with pizza. Nobody was talking about sex in those shows. Bobby's World was probably one of the most innocent cartoons on the planet. Rugrats, Doug, Salute Your Shorts. Now, everything is filled with so much innuendo, you can almost taste it. It's like it's invisible, but it's still palpable. And for whatever reason, people think that this is innocent. It's not innocent. Look at it this way. You said progressive. It definitely is. You look at the videos on Vine and on YouTube and on whatever app you use. These men, man, they not men anymore. A lot of these dudes are really suspect. They sus, like bro said. They doing videos, twerking in front of other dudes doing dance videos. I don't know. I don't understand how nobody sees a problem with it. But then I go back to that stream I did on Saturday, and I remember they sprinkled it in to look innocent. Oh, it's just a cartoon. They're just being whimsical. What's your version of whimsical? Mine's doesn't look like someone sticking their finger in a orifice that's supposed to be something that it come on. And yes, we found out exactly what a lot of those words meant. We found out what these cartoons were, especially like go back to Ken and Barbie. They perverted Ken and Barbie. Ken and Barbie is no longer a household name as much as y'all want to say it is. Y'all done turned that into this is a stereotypical version of what you should ask for, seek in real life. Perfect bodies, perfect hair, perfect skin. But then, mind you, the toys didn't have no, like, they didn't have the appendages that adults come equipped with biologically. They were just stripped raw. So you took the clothes off the toy, you didn't see the wee wee and all that stuff. They did a whole lot with these toys, man, a whole lot. And I don't think people really noticed it because it was just done so subtle. I yield the mic.
Yeah, Barbies aren't even the worst anymore either. My daughter, when she was younger, somebody donated a bunch of their kids' old toys to me. And there was one doll I remember specifically. There's a whole bunch of brands. I know I've seen them before. I just don't remember off the top of my head. But the one brand that I know of is the LOL dolls. And these dolls have like the skinniest little waist, but then a giant hips. And then they have like over exaggerated lips and gigantic eyes. And then like their front side has been well endowed, and most of the outfits that you find for them are like mini skirts and crop tops and low cut shirts and bikinis and high heels. And these are marketed to kids as young as like 5, 6, 7. I'm like, these people don't understand that kids use toys as their connection to the real world. They use toys to reenact life situations, to help them understand things, complex topics that they are reading in books or seeing in TV or seeing in real life. That's why criminal psychologists will often use toys to uncover traumas that kids are undergoing, because it's the safest way for them mentally to cope with everything that they're encountering, or like to unravel the things that they're thinking. So toys are a window into a child's world. And when you expose them to those types of toys, they're going to assume that is how the world is, that is how they need to look, that is how everyone else should look, and that people who don't look like that are not normal. And so they are 100% normalizing these attributes. And we wonder why there's an increase in the number of people relying on plastic surgery or other things to make them feel like they're a worthy human being. Also, the documentary that I mentioned, another one that they brought up, which was from, I think, the mid 2000s, was The Mask with Jim Carrey, which was marketed as a kids movie. But anybody who has watched The Mask will tell you it is it's very overt. Like, the jokes are there. It is very, very obvious. And they don't even bother to hide most of the jokes that they're making. And if you have any parent, any older brother, sister that is willing to talk to you, you're going to be able to figure out what they're alluding to in the movie. And that was just one movie that we've had it get worse over time. Like that was bad for then. And now we have stuff like I show my kids old cartoons. They do not have access to Cartoon Network. They do not have access to Nickelodeon. I know it's a popular I don't even let them watch like the modern little kid shows like the what is it called? They have like Leo the Wildlife Explorer and like they have a bunch of other stuff. I really don't let them watch the modern stuff because most of it is trash. I'm not gonna lie. Most of it is garbage. Like the one exception, Bluey, is pretty cool. My son also loves Lucas the Spider, which I'm fine with. But even in Lucas the Spider, they tell butt jokes all the time. Like the spider's always commenting on how big his butt is. And that's in a cartoon about a spider and a fly, a fish, and some other animals. But I mostly have him watching old cartoons that are actually wholesome. Like my son loves Little Bear, Magic School Bus, Madeline, which is like that redheaded French girl. And none of those shows have anything close to the types of jokes that I see in kids' cartoons and movies these days. I hardly show them, like I will, partially for the nostalgia, but partially because, like it's part of the kid experience. We'll show him select Disney movies, but even then, like watching them now as an adult, I'll watch the old Disney movies and even they have their jokes. They have their references, their suggestions about real life. And I do appreciate it in some senses because such as SpongeBob, I grew up watching SpongeBob. I've always loved the older seasons of SpongeBob, not so much after like 2010, but the older versions of SpongeBob, they did have those jokes from time to time. But what I appreciate now as an adult is a lot of those older episodes spoke to society. Like you saw, like Mr. Krabs is basically the representation of the stupid rich people that just don't care about society and like take advantage of their workers, like the corporations. And then the different personalities of the different characters represent different groups of people. And so if you're into like paying attention, you can make connections to real life and as an adult be like, oh, that's actually really funny. I experienced that too. But they don't even put effort into that stuff anymore. Like most of the jokes they pick now are low-hanging fruit. They don't put any intellectual type stuff into the cartoons for the parents. It's basically just sick boy humor. Or appealing to the sexuality of young girls, which is also equally disturbing when you think about how many people are being uncovered as those types of individuals. So yeah, I have a hard time letting my kid watch most modern things because I just don't trust them. Most of the stuff out there is no, not for kids at all, but they still market it as if it is.
I give them a round of applause for being able to pull off such a callous and cold execution to destabilize families the way that they have. They're not screaming at you. They're not holding an AR-15 and bum rushing their way into your front door. They're not throwing bombs through your window. They're using laptops and multiple aliases in their basement, 20 computers, 50 different cell phones hanging on their wall, lying on their desktops, their tables, their mattresses, and they're rage baiting you. They're creating codes, creating content specifically to dull the senses. Now, I was going to ask, is this just poor writing? Are lazy? They just lost their creativity, right? But then I had to think to myself, well, that can't be true. Because 20, 30 years ago, when I was watching the Magic School Bus, Miss Frizzle was smart as hell. That woman was on one. I learned a lot from watching the Magic School Bus. Authored all of them. Sesame Street. The writing was educational. It was, you could tell they knew what they were doing. Like, come on, you write to your audience. And at that time, y'all had it. Before you go to production or before you pitch your idea to whoever is running these corporations, you have to have some type of portfolio. If I'm sitting here in the office and you want me to fund your project, Sydney, you got to convince me. You got to convince me that this is worth putting out there on a nationwide scale. You can't just tell me, oh, I think this will be neat for everybody. You should give me $100,000 or however much you need to get it rolling. And I don't see any reason to support it. I need numbers. I need facts. I need scales. I need all that. Show me why I'm investing in this. So you come to me on a Thursday, 2 p.m. meeting. You got your presentation, your board, and all that stuff up there, and you tell me, okay, this is what my cartoon is going to be. This is what my program is going to be about. Think about it. We have kids out here who need this and need that, or we have an audience for this and an audience for that. And based on my research, what I am presenting is not only going to be new, but it's going to be refreshing. It's going to be educational. It's going to be unlike anything anyone has ever seen before. You have to sell these people on this before they even go out there. So I answered my own question in my head. The writing, it's not that the writing is lazy, it's the fact that it's intentional. What they're putting out here is intentional. And that's scary. If you've been around the sun as much as I have, you have seen the changes, the evolution or the de-evolution of it, where it once was and where it is now. They could absolutely go back to how they were writing before. They chose not to. They're choosing not to. So as far as that toy and a lot of stuff that we see today, yeah, it's trash. But some people will say it's lighthearted. It's just fun. It's not that big of a deal. Do you think it's lazy writing? Do you think that they have just given up on being creative and diverse, or it's something else?
I think it's a combination of things. One, I do think that it is lazy writing. It's hard to come up with a new topic that has not been done before. So, and then also like the jokes and stuff like that, it's hard to come up with stuff that's like genuinely unique. So I do think that there is an element of it being very lazy writing. They're like running out of ideas, but they're trying to keep up with demand. So they're just throwing whatever they can out there. And those types of jokes are, as I said, low hanging fruit. So it's easy to just throw those in there. I think there's also an element of, as a nation, we have become desensitized to these things in general. And so it becomes easier to allow this type of stuff to be on TV because you're not going to have as much outrage as you would, say, in like the 80s or 70s. If you put that type of content on TV, the demand is like, we also have become numbed to what we consume. We can see that with how people doom scroll and are just like, I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where they have the kid playing a game on one device and then they're like watching a double video on another where like the video is split between two different things and like one of them is showing, I don't know, people tripping and falling, and then the other video is showing like another game being played or whatever. Like, kids are just mindlessly absorbing whatever content they get. And so if you have a demographic of kids who are being under engaged with, the parents are not present because they're working hard and they don't have the time or mental capacity to give to their kids the hours that they do have. You're going to end up with a bunch of airtime that is able to be given to kids that have no filters, that have nothing stopping them from consuming that type of content. There's no outrage anymore. And so it's really easy for them to just produce really low quality content because there's no pushback. People, like, there's so much available now in all the platforms and like even just on YouTube, the stuff that you can find. It's very easy for somebody to just turn it off and be like, nah, I'm not going to watch this, but the company can still keep producing it because somebody will. So it's still lucrative. And I think that's why we're seeing it proliferate, because they're able to. There's nothing stopping them. Like in the past, things like that would have been removed off the air. They would have been banned. You cannot show this stuff. But now, I mean, anything goes for the most part. Like, unless you make a actual, like, you broke the law type mistake, most shows are able to persist even after making like really stupid decisions. And then I also think another aspect is the people that are creating these shows and filters, they belong to the same demographic that they're trying to market to. They already have been desensitized to this type of content, and they already find that type of content funny, and they are in turn creating that content and essentially restarting the cycle. So I think it's a combination of who is making these films, the fact that there is no outrage anymore, so people can just kind of like create whatever they want with no repercussions. And there's always going to be somebody that will take you. If Nickelodeon doesn't want you, go to Cartoon Network. If Cartoon Network doesn't want you, go to Adult Swim. And they can just shop around to find which network would actually host them. But kids still have access to all this. So you can have young kids watching Cartoon Network just as much as they watch Adult Swim. So I think it's a combination of factors. It's cultural, it's economic, and then it's also the lack of supervision that our kids are getting, which allow them to fully explore the world of film and all that exists. And all it takes is one person in the friend group to be like, hey, look what I found, to allow you to start seeing that stuff. Like, I still to this day remember how shocked my mom was when she found out that I was watching Happy Tree Friends, which I don't know if any of you know what Happy Tree Friends is, but it was, I think, through Adult Swim. I forgot which platform it was through. It might have even been its own thing on YouTube. But it was basically a cartoon animal show where, like, every episode the animals would horrifically die in different ways, like getting run over, they showed it all. It was cartoon, but all the animals died or were killed or in a whole gamut of ways. And I found that in like high school. I've seen they had toys and stuff like that of Happy Tree Friends in Burlington, in Hot Topic, in Target. Like, these are places where kids could easily find it. And we all know how kids love animals. If you have any characters that are remotely endearing, it doesn't matter what the show is, they're going to gravitate towards it because of what the characters look like. And then they'll watch it and realize that it's not what they thought it was, but they're still going to watch it anyways. So yeah, it's a whole accumulation of factors. But it definitely speaks to the type of, I don't know, respect that we have for kids. We really don't have respect for kids anymore. We don't care to put in dollars into their actual education. We put in, or I say corporations want to put the money where it's most lucrative. And shock value has historically been far more lucrative than education. So that's the stuff that gets created.
To be honest with you, I think we are just far removed from setting any type of precedent for education. Your kids spend more time in front of the laptop or in front of their iPad playing Call of Duty than they do reading a book. Let that set in for a minute. And I asked the question to the public, does that not bother you? Do you see no concern? There should be a balance, right? I don't think you strip all the fun away from your kids, but you can't be lackadaisical and pick and choose when you want to monitor what they're consuming and when you just, nope, taking the time out. Because that's why we are here in the first place. Why are grown men twerking? Why is everybody at the point to where when you go outside, they're wearing lingerie? They're wearing the items that's on the mannequins, on the toys. People are real life out here playing Call of Duty. Whoever said you can't be influenced by cartoons or by TV programming, we might have to do a whole segment on that. Because I didn't heard that before. Oh, you just don't have no discipline, or you don't have this and you don't have that. Nobody can be manipulated by TV. There's no way in the world that you could be what? You see it all the time, every day. The Teen Titan cartoon, I didn't even think about it before until she said something. But I always thought that was kind of weird that they would have a boy doing that. But some people think it's funny. I don't at all. No kids should be doing it, period. Boy or girl, you should not be twerking. You should know how to. Like, really, you shouldn't know about none of this stuff until you're 15 years old or something like that. There's just some things that mystery no longer has a hold of. We were held back from knowing some stuff. You've given them access to everything at 8, 9 years old, and you wonder why these kids are the way they are. So I don't see it getting any better. Like, this is an important conversation, but I don't think people care enough. I don't think a lot of folks see the problem. It's just a toy to them. But some toys should not have big butts, and you shouldn't be modeling toys after celebrities and they have Botox in the face and they have bust double D's and all. Like, come on, you don't think that's weird? I don't know.
I think it's ironic because Barbie in recent years has been changing their model where they are trying to be more inclusive with their dolls. And so they've been making dolls that represent people with different conditions. Like the ones I know specifically that I've heard of, they have one that lives in a wheelchair. They have one with Down syndrome. They have one with vitiligo, which is like that skin pigmentation thing. And they've been trying to embrace other types of bodies, other types of people, which I find ironic because they're the ones that are known for, or they're associated with creating that standard in the beginning of like how you have to look. But I think going back to what you were just saying, I don't think things will change until people start to recognize the damage it's doing to children. And I think we're kind of getting there, but not with all groups of parents. I think it's only a fringe group and maybe a little bit more into the mainstream so far. But it's definitely not widespread yet. But I think because of everything that's been happening with people working in kids' lives being found doing things that they should not be doing whatsoever, as well as the threats of violence and stuff that our kids are experiencing every day, the rise in mental health problems for very young children. I think people are starting to kind of get it, but I don't know, like things are so crazy right now between politics, the economy, everything else that's happening. It's not a focus. Like kids, as much as we love to say that we love kids, they're not a focus. We focus on the adult problems. We don't focus on kids' problems. They're just kind of an afterthought for particularly like very busy families. And so I don't think very many people put a lot of thought into what their kids are consuming and what effect that's going to have on their mind. And even myself, like I am arguably very controlling with what I allow my kids to see. As I said, I will only put on very specific shows. I do not allow my son to explore the internet. I don't allow him to just have, like, if he wants to play games, it's through my phone, my husband's phone, or his tablet. And on the tablet, it's literally only educational games. Like one of them teaches math, another one teaches how to write. And then there's a couple like simulation games where you can like make a volcano or like make the rocket take off. And I will not allow him to play just like mindless games. But I still sometimes find myself allowing him to consume content just so I can get a break. And when I say content, it's still the stuff that I've selected, but I still allow him to use screen time because I'm like, I really need to clean the house. I need you to just sit there so you're not pulling everything back out. So I'm just going to put on Little Bear for the day, or whatever. So I can understand it, but I think a lot of parents have made that the norm. Like, they take their kid to school, their kid's in school, they go to work. As soon as their kid comes home, they sit them on the couch and give them a screen. And they're like, all right, leave me alone. I need my space. I need my time. Do whatever. That's the thing that I absolutely love about this school that I just put him in, is they do the research on child development. They care to understand how kids think. And one of their priorities is to make sure that parents have interactions with their kids. They purposely don't give a lot of homework to their kids. That way, when the children get home from school, the parents and the children are able to prioritize spending time together. And they as I said yesterday, during my talk on schooling, they don't offer kids screens for learning. They do in very small circumstances, but for the most part, all the learning is going to be hands-on in person. And they tell the parents specifically, we encourage you to continue this at home. We encourage you to not use technology to entertain your kids and to spend time with them, because people do not understand the importance of spending actual face time with your kids. Like, yes, parents can sit together and watch TV together and whatever, like, it's still family time, but kids need conversation, interactions. They need to see, like, we don't do this anymore because who has time for that? But we need to be playing with the same toys that our kids are playing with them, because then they see how we're using those toys to interact and to create stories and to reenact things that matter to them. Like, I still remember when my dad used to come, like, it was one of my favorite things, before, after work, or like when he was putting me in bed, he'd come in my room and he'd like reenact his day at work using my toys, just to tell me like what he did. And I still remember that type of stuff. And it meant a lot to me. It even more than like, oh, he bought me these things or we watched TV together. Like, I remember those moments more than anything else. Kids need that interaction. And when we ourselves are sitting on our phones, when they want our attention, they feel that. They internalize that as my mom, my dad doesn't care about me. They don't want to pay attention to me. They don't want to give their time to me. So they'll go off and do something else, but the whole time they're bothered. They're not like it. I think a lot of people really think that, oh, well, just go away, get out of my sight, you'll be fine. But the kids really feel it. And if we are basically giving them the opportunity to just free range shows and TV shows and stuff like that, they're going to have a combination of they don't care about me and limitless access to content that they'll never be able to have conversations about, that they'll never be able to hear context for, that they'll never be able to understand in a kidified adult way. And so they won't have a chance to actually process what they're seeing. And when they get older, if kids have not been exposed to conversations about violence, about relationships, about they're not going to know how to handle actual adult situations when they come up. Like, there's a reason why kids with single parents are more likely to get pregnant, are more likely to get abused, are more likely to go to jail, are more likely to drop out of school, because they don't have people around them all the time helping them to process the things that are around them. Because as parents, we should be the ones saying, I know you see this on TV, but that's actually unbecoming behavior. Or I know you've heard your friends say this, but this is what that actually means. You shouldn't be saying that. Or like helping them understand like mistreatment of people so they don't perpetuate jokes that they've heard, or making them understand that violence happens, but it's not something you should rely on to get what you want. Like there's so many different behaviors that kids pick up just from TV, just from their friends, that never ever get explained to them of why that's not okay. And they'll end up growing into adults that do not understand either. So I think that's a huge factor, is kids can be exposed to these things. Like we have had violence throughout history. Kids have witnessed murders. Kids have witnessed horrible things happening to the people around them. They've witnessed disasters. But the difference is they had parents to walk them through the process. They had family members, community members, grandparents, aunts, uncles, older siblings, whatever, that could talk to them and help them understand what they were seeing in a way that was modified for their age group. But today they just have unfettered access to anything, and nobody is there to help them process the things that they're seeing. And that is how trauma is born. When you have witnessed something traumatic, unsettling, uncomfortable, and nobody is there to help you process what you went through. That is the purpose of a therapist. That is the purpose of a parent. That is the purpose of a teacher. It's to teach the kids how to process the information that they're bringing in, to make them more successful adults at processing this type of stuff and knowing how to handle difficult feelings in the future. And when you don't have that, you start to develop problems, behavioral problems, criminal behavior, associating with the wrong people and having no idea that they are. Like, my kids still get exposed to stuff that they shouldn't be exposed to. Like, my husband listens to his music. He listens to a wide variety of stuff, but some of the songs, they have their lyrics in them, and my son will pick up on it and repeat the lyrics. But when we hear him say that, we'll tell him, you are not allowed to say that. That is an adult word, or that is mean, or that is whatever. But we work with him on understanding why he can't say these certain things, where the lines are with the things that you say. Because again, exposure itself is not the problem. It's the lack of guidance around these things that kids are not getting. So we can have these shows available, but as parents, we also have to be available ourselves to the kids to help them understand what they're seeing, to understand what is reality and what is just made up just for the show. Because that is something that a lot of kids have, or that developmentally, kids under a certain age, they assume everything that they see is how things are, is real, is like, that's how life is. And if they don't have someone there to explain it to them, they're going to basically think, well, the cartoons are real life. Like, that's why we had that whole thing about, cartoon violence back in the 80s and 90s. And then now cartoon stuff, PG-13 plus. It's because they think that's what's real. And that's what adulthood is and what life is. And as parents, we need to teach them that is not what adulthood is.
And with that being said, that all really is up to you, parents, and the tribe that surround these kids that's being raised. That's a conversation that you need to sit down and talk about. I really, really wish that these discussions were widespread to the extent that my timeline will reflect it, just so I know that people take it serious. Because it's one thing to see a bunch of angry, disgruntled adults in the comment sections when kids get sentenced to life for manslaughter or whatever, when you could have done something to prevent that way before. Just another thing to see posts that specifically talk about what to do, how to do it. Here's a link to this. Click on here so we can sit down and virtually do this or do it in public. We having an event for this, and that's something else. I do want to say thank you for being here this morning. Shout outs to the people who pulled up. Yeah, we got to be more careful. Stop being so casual about it. Like, come on, y'all, you see the play. Y'all, you have to see the play. No, we're not dumb, you know. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you said everything that I wanted to say, and then some. We about to get up off of here. If you care, and this is something that's important to you, repost, share this out, let the people know that, yeah, we do have a community out there. It's just we have to do our part to connect to them people so that we can actually make these things happen and not just talk about it so much. The conversations are cool, but let's start trying to implement some of these ideas too. So,
and even if you're not a parent, even if you don't have kids, like as an aunt, as a neighbor, as whatever job that you do, like you'll still have exposure to kids. And just small moments make a big difference in how kids think. Like there will be tiny conversations that you'll have with people that can make a difference in their life and how they think and make connections that they didn't. And so again, even if you don't have kids, you still have the opportunity and the ability to make and influence the people around you to be better and to be more human, like less whatever is happening, and more like decent human beings. So don't think like, oh, I'm not a parent, so it doesn't apply to me. You're still going to be able to affect children around you, just by being a good example and encouraging good behavior when you see it. Like we used to be a community, but we've really strayed from that. And I think that's another part of the problem, because then it makes the parents have to do everything all on their own. So we need to start being there for our kids, but also being there for the parents themselves. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
That being said, I will see you guys later on this evening. Y'all take care of yourself. If you ain't following, make sure you tap in. We out.
Have a beautiful Thursday.
Mantra, slave song, slave ship, rip skin, made me rip bones. But no matter how close I am, my ancestors